Good afternoon and welcome to the Controversies news channel. Breaking news just in. Everything you think you remember could be a lie. Researcher Nicholas Spanos and his colleagues at the University of Carleton, Canada, investigated just what it would take to convince participants that they had vivid memories of experiences which in fact they'd never even had at all. Participants were told that they were going to be able to access memories from the day after they were born. Some of them were hypnotised in order to achieve this, some used techniques not based on hypnosis, and a control group used no techniques at all. 68 out of the 78 participants who were manipulated did indeed develop false memories of their infant days. While over 3/4 of the control group said that the memories were fantasies, almost half of the participants who were manipulated were convinced that they had had real memories. Concerns have been raised up and down the country as to the implications of this research, particularly with regards to eyewitness testimony, whereby the truth and accuracy of memories of a crime is essential. Let's go over now live to Nicholas Spanos and Cheryl Burgess, lead experimenters in this extraordinarily controversial piece of research, in order to get to the bottom of this. Let's see what the viewers at home think. Do you trust your own memory? Vote now on this poll. Thank you for answering. We'll see if your answers have changed at the end of the programme. We're here now live outside 10 West, a constant hub of groundbreaking psychological research, with researchers Nicholas Spanos and Cheryl Burgess. They're going to talk to us about their paper, Creating False Memories of Infancy Using Hypnotic and Non-Hypnotic Techniques. So Cheryl, what inspired you to carry out this experiment?
Well, there's been several studies in the past about memory recovery procedures. Some suggest that memory enhancement can actually induce false memories in patients. This is because the patient can expect to remember things and therefore they think they have, even though they're false. However, other studies have suggested that in recovery procedures, they actually remember real memories, such as childhood sexual abuse, which can actually be forgotten. So that's where the argument kind of lies, and that's why we conducted this experiment.
Are there any examples of these past experiments?
Yes, so Loftus and Pickrell found that they could induce memories of a child getting lost in a shopping centre when they're about 5. My colleague Nicholas actually found that he could induce memories of living a past life as a university undergraduate student. Other controversial topics that can be induced as a false memory include being in a satanic cult, being abducted by space aliens and things like that. However, a study by Grant found that therapy-induced memories are actually true.
Wow, that's really scary to think that people can believe terrible things have happened to them when they really haven't. Was there any other research that led you to conduct your experiment?
Well, there are many different factors in memory loss and recall. Some suggest that hypnotic procedures are actually more effective in generating recall of accurate memories, but in contrast, some suggest that hypnosis actually just leads to you believing you have memories that you don't, leading to overconfidence and therefore false memories.
And what did you aim to find in your study?
So we looked at the day after birth, as researchers showed that this is actually impossible to remember anything from this period of your life. We aim to find the difference between hypnotic and non-hypnotic procedures in generation of false or accurate memories, and we hypothesised that there would actually be no difference between the two procedures.
How did you carry out this experiment?
So a third of the participants were taken through a hypnotic regression treatment, which is where they were told to go back in time to the day after they were born. Another third went through the non-hypnotic regression treatment, where they were told to recreate the memories after they were born. And the final third were the control sample, where there was no exact procedure. They were just asked about their early memories and whether they had any.
And was it a large study? How many participants did you test?
Yeah, there was 117 psychology students with 41 male and 76 females.
But couldn't the participants be more susceptible to hypnotism than the everyday public? I mean, couldn't psychology students doing a psychology study be more likely to guess what the study was about and then comply to the experimental's demands?
Yeah, that's a very good point that we realised early on. So before we carried out the experiment, we tested all the participants on the CURSS scale, which measures hypnotic suggestibility. And then from that we chose even amounts of people that had a high suggestibility and a low suggestibility to make sure that that was even across the board.
Ah, so you could tell that differences in how many false memories were recorded weren't just due to participants being more easily suggestible.
Yeah, exactly.
And were there any other factors that you had to control for?
Yeah, we measured and controlled for their fantasy proneness, their imaginative beliefs and their paranormal beliefs. This was because in the past these factors have been linked to false memories. These results were then taken away and analysed, which is what the participants thought was going on, and then they were told that they were positive cognitive monitors, a personality type, which is linked with high imagination. This was due to, at birth, they had mobiles hung above them to practice their coordinated eye movements, which is what the hospital was doing. And this is the narrative that we used to allow them to go back in time as we told them in the procedure.
Did they believe it?
The short answer is yes, they did. A lot of them did anyway. Although it turns out that not many even had the memory to begin with. So 37 out of the 39 of the hypnotizable participants had the memory, whether they believed it was real or not. And 31 out of the non-hypnotizable participants had the memory. So if we combine these groups, these 68 people, out of these 68, 49% believed that the memory was real, and just 17% thought it was a fantasy, that it was just their imagination, and the rest in the middle were unsure, which is quite a scary number. If we go on to the control group, 77% of them thought that it was a fantasy, thought that their images were fantasy, which shows the effectiveness of our procedure.
So, did it turn out that those that you thought would be easy to hypnotise tended to believe that the memory was real?
Well, it turns out there was actually no difference between those that had a high hypnotizability and a low hypnotizability.
Let's see what the general public think about this.
I think the results of this study are crazy. I thought my memory was accurate.
So, what are your initial reactions to the study?
Well, surprise mostly, because I think a common perception of it would be that you wouldn't expect someone to create an entire memory of it in their head. Like, you'd expect people to be convinced of what did or didn't happen to them, but they wouldn't actually create a false memory for it.
Do you think it's unethical that participants were given false memories that they thought were real?
It depends. I'd say it would only be unethical if they were told, because if they weren't told, they could go on, carry on living, assuming they had the memories, it's all fine. Whereas if they were told they were given fake memories, they'd start doubting a lot of other memories they've had or been told about that they might not be able to remember because they were younger. That'll cause them a lot of anxiety and stress.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And actually, the researchers didn't say whether or not they told the participants that the memories weren't real or not. We're now going to speak to Dr. Olio, who has some interesting counterpoints to put to the researchers based on his paper, Truth in Memory.
I have some concerns about the conclusions that you drew from your data. For example, you conclude that false memories can easily be given to participants, yet you only investigated one very specific and generic form of memory. Perhaps it wouldn't be as easy to make participants believe that they had more unusual experience, such as meeting a celebrity or becoming sick.
Yeah, well, we didn't use a particularly unusual memory. Lots of past research has done so. So there's been past studies where people have been convinced that they've been abducted by a UFO or a satanic cult, or even lived a past life as an undergraduate at university. However, maybe a future area of research would be to see what different types of memory could be induced into someone and how unusual they could be.
Yeah. Also, I would argue that memories themselves are also very fallible and easily open to suggestion. So the concept of a false memory is not entirely accurate. Many parts of our everyday memories of things that did happen are built on schemas, the ways in which we expect things to happen, and the things we're told after they do happen. So lots of our memories could be considered false, but you didn't properly define what you were counting as false in this study.
Yeah, that is true that we didn't properly define false. But the reason why we used the day after a person's birth as the base for our experiment was because of the fact that it's been scientifically proven that we can have no memory whatsoever of that day.
So, despite a strong rebuttal, it seems that your paper is strong. Are there any other strengths which contribute to your study?
Yes, so as my colleague has mentioned, we did control a lot of variables, things like fantasy proneness, hypnotisability. We also studied a great range of factors such as umbilical itching and thoughts of childhood, which could impact the experiment. Additionally, we also used quite a large sample size.
So it seems that your paper is solid, but you say you used a large sample size. Surely it only consisted of university students.
That's true. So we could say that we can generalise our results to university students, but perhaps an area for future research would be to use people of other ages.
That's good then that you can generalise to university students. But are you sure that your results show causation? Like, are you sure that the hypnotic techniques actually cause the false memories?
Yeah, we are, because so when we did the hypnotic and the non-hypnotic procedures, we combined that with the expectation that they will remember something, and they did actually remember something, so we can infer that was a causational relationship, which actually has quite a lot of real-world implications, which my colleague will talk to you about.
That would be great. So in what ways can your research be applied to the real world? Surely it's going to have a big impact, being so controversial.
Yeah, we think that the area of forensic psychology is going to be where the biggest impact is going to be. Police often use hypnosis as they think it helps memory recall. However, our research suggests that it may induce false memories rather than aid existing ones.
Wow, so it's really important then that police officers and forensic psychologists know about your research, because they could be using hypnosis thinking that it's getting more accurate and effective information from witnesses, but it's actually just distorting their memories.
Yeah, exactly.
Are there any examples of where this might have happened?
Yeah, the case of the murder of Elizabeth Black in 1998 is a good case. Charles Flores was wrongfully accused, many believe, of murdering her. There was only one eyewitness with no hard evidence, and she was put under hypnosis, where only then she testified against Charles Flores. He's in prison to this day on death row. He was due to be executed in 2016, however this was cancelled due to public outrage. We think that our research is going to help in this area with people like Charles Flores and others who may have been wrongfully accused of murders they didn't commit from eyewitnesses in a state of hypnosis.
So, are the benefits limited just to eyewitness testimony, or do they reach even further than that?
Another possible area could be psychotherapy, where Elizabeth Loftus suggests that therapists may be unwittingly inducing false memories into their patients, who may be going back and accusing family members or friends of abusing them in their childhood. Similarly, Banks suggests that the abusers may be suggesting to their victims that their experiences didn't actually happen, or the abuse is just in their heads and imaginary. So this can go both ways. Our research displays the ease as to which false memories can be induced, and an area of future research may be to see how we can identify false memories in ourselves and in other people around us.
Well, despite the controversy, it looks like Nicholas Banos and Cheryl Burgess have produced a fascinating paper that's going to have really important practical applications for the future. Thank you for your time, Nicholas, Cheryl and Dr. Olio. Let's head back to the studio. Remember the poll we did at the start of the programme? Let's take a look at the results. Were your predictions right? Are you surprised how easily your memory can be changed? Overall then, not only is this study highly interesting, but it also has a wealth of strengths. These include the amount of variables that were controlled for, as well as the breadth of variables that were tested. Also, the study did show causation. Hypnotic and non-hypnotic techniques, if combined with expecting to recall the memories, can induce false memories. Finally, the study tested a reasonably large sample size. To conclude, it looks like it's surprisingly and scarily easy to make people believe that things have happened to them when in fact they have not, regardless of whether you're easily hypnotisable or not. So just bear that in mind next time you're taking a trip down memory lane, that you never know what might have influenced you to have, or to think that you have, those memories. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Controversies news channel for more controversial studies. Goodbye.